Hi, this is Dennis Dempsey. You are listening to the Faith in Humanity podcast.
Okay. All right, Mike. It's been a while. This is the first time we're talking ever. We don't ever talk outside of recording. Just kidding. But yeah, it's been a while. And there's been a few episodes that have come down the pipe. One, Stephanie, and then the other one, my sister Danielle. So there's those two episodes, and it's so like this. We're going into this recording, not really having necessarily a game plan or an outline or anything like that. But I mean, you listened to both episodes, obviously. So if there's I guess just kind of having it be this like open door kind of thing. Like if anything in the episodes that you found interesting or just worth noting or discussing, we can just kind of kick it off there and just see where it goes. I mean, part of my my favorite aspect of our conversations are the where it's just kind of free form, where it's just kind of like, all right, let's see where this goes. And I always have fantastic conversations with you. So it's always a lot of fun. But yeah, if there's anything, on your mind that you heard from the previous two episodes that you want to just kick it off, that'd be a good place to start.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's, I don't know, if there's any weight to it, but like I was saying, there was my favorite part of, Steph's podcast or one of the main, parts that really stuck out to me was when she was talking about, working. I guess, was she working as a counselor in the prison?
Yeah, I believe that was she was a counselor in the prison. I believe it was like some sort of rotation where she was working with these with sex offenders, and currently right now she works with people with substance abuse issues, but some of them are actual registered sex offenders as well, on top of having substance abuse problems.
Right, and just the point she made of how prior to sitting face to face with these people, and it's kind of it's kind of a heavy moment within the conversation for because okay, here to and to anybody who is kind of foreign to that world of sex offenders, the idea of it is can be just really turn your stomach in ways, but she was saying that when she was working with them, prior to her experience of sitting and working with them, working through whatever it may have been, I'm not sure if she was doing work in regards to, their charges and the fact that they were, I'm not sure what they were working on, but she had said, prior to that, if you had asked her what she felt about, people who were sex offenders like anybody, it was, I don't remember her words. These are not her words, but a lot of people would have your typical reaction towards it. Oh, it's disgusting. They're monsters, this and that. But and then she said, upon sitting down with them and, she's like, it completely changed. I think she said, like I said, I don't remember her words. It's been a few months since, I listened to it, but how it really, like her internal outlook on the people themselves really kind of changed in comparison to what her take on the people was before sitting down with them. And it was a little bit more, I don't think she would ever say that she would accept the acts that led to them having to register, as sex offenders, but she found a lot of acceptance towards just the person, and then the fact that they just had certain things in their brain, and that led them to commit this, and they we've talked about right and wrong, and I don't want to go down that road again, but they know that they shouldn't be thinking this stuff or doing it, but it's like they can't help it. It's in there, and that's where I think it's great, like where people like her come in and they start to work through it. Because she's like, these people are sitting right in front of me, and I really don't feel threatened, or I don't feel as if I'm sitting in front of a monster, or it really was just I was just sitting in front of a person, doing her doing her job, and I think that's I, it was just such a key moment for me because it just puts a spotlight on, I don't know, I would call it compassion, and forgiveness, and not necessarily that you completely forgive their actions, but you at least give them a chance to turn themselves around, and rehabilitate, or whatever you want to call it, and that really I thought was just such a fantastic part of the conversation. I mean, that was by far my favorite part of her, and there were many good parts to the podcast, but that one stuck out just tremendously for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was definitely a beautiful part of the conversation. It's a really it's like a beautiful moment to come to, where it's like you see these people, you go into meeting these people that have done egregious things to to people that are the most vulnerable of society, and to go in and be able to look at them as people who are flawed, and not necessarily define them by the mistakes that they've made, which I think is like a really important place to be in. It's a place of caring and compassion, and it's a really wonderful place, because we've all done a lot of mistakes, and of course, then we can get into like ranking mistakes, or which mistakes are worse than others. But I think getting to a point where you can look at a person as a person, as a complex person of good and bad, like having a combination. We've talked about this before, how we are kind of made up of good and bad. There's those things exist in us, those two things, and being able to look at someone and seeing them with compassion, and extending grace to them, and showing them love and everything. It is a beautiful thing, and it's something that we need to practice more. I believe, and it's really important. And like, even bringing it back to like kind of more of a religious side of things, we could talk about like how Muslims are kind of demonized, or really a lot, many ethnic groups or people that are different um, tend to be demonized because they are different, and Muslims tend to get the brunt of it. Because of terrorist attacks, and certain extremists around the world, that they paint all Muslims in a certain way, and people fixate on like caricatures of these people, and until you actually sit face to face with these people, I would like to believe, and I would hope that that these people that have a deep seated anger, or maybe I'll even go as far as to say hatred towards these people, and I recognize that a lot of hatred and anger stems from fear. That they're scared of these people, that when they do interact with a Muslim person, and when they sit across from them, that they can see like this is just a human being, and I think that that's really important, and I think that that's important in this day and age, when we see that there's a lot of demonization of you know just ethnic groups, religious groups, political groups. Like, there's just a lot of demonization of people that are other, the people that are different, um, and obviously it's different with, say, the Muslims and Hispanics, or Democrats or Republicans or whatever it may be. They're not necessarily doing anything criminal, or doing anything illegal, or doing anything evil, unlike um unlike the sex offenders that did do something that was criminal, and did affect lives and did do something that was detrimental to another person. So it may be a slightly different, maybe not exactly parallel, but I think that it's an important it's an important thing to make that connection, because it's
Right.
like,
Well, and I guess that's the key to it, is that, like, and I had said early in one of our earlier conversations, when it comes to just the ideology of something, it's crazy to jump to a conclusion and demonize it or just paint it as the enemy and the opposition. Um, it, but and then when Steph was saying that, and then here it is, and then and oh, sorry, I got distracted by something, but it's crazy to paint something that way, if nothing has been done, and then once an act has been committed, like I said, then it's a different story. Um, I don't agree with you know um, actions that where harm is caused and there's malintent, and that's a whole different story. But how we, like you said, demonize any group, or this and that, and then within Steph's conversation, it's like, well, here it is that somebody has committed an act, and we have our justice system, and they have to go through that, this and that. But then here it is, she's sitting there, and even still, after somebody's committed this act, she's still finding something in herself that is hinting at, I don't want to say forgiveness, but I can work with this person. This isn't a hopeless case, and I thought that was so when it comes to groups of people where you're just generalizing, people, and when they haven't even done anything to then say something bad, it's like that. To me, there's no room for that. There shouldn't be any room for that within anybody's dialogue. If you're just basing what you're saying off whatever rumors, or just I don't know, a headline you read that who I don't know. It's I just thought it was great that even after knowing that these people had committed that, she's still finding something in herself, and it wasn't. I don't know if it was really intentional on her part. I think it was a very just a human thing of where it was, well, wait a minute, here I am talking to this person. I think something can be done. I think we could sort through, or and something can be worked out with this person, and they can maybe figure out why they did what they did, why they were wired the way they were, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and it's one of the beautiful parts of this podcast, is that I do get to talk to people from all different backgrounds, all different religions, and get to a better understanding of the individual rather than just as a group. We're not like bison where we're all just like uniform in the where you can just look across, it's like, oh, everyone's the same. There's so many differences within the group and everything, and that's something that's really important. It's like you got to get out of your bubble and go talk to someone. If the fear is a Muslim of Islam or Muslims, and that there's a Muslim that works at the grocery store or something, stop and talk to them. Just like, no, don't be like, what do you believe? Have a casual, friendly conversation and build up a relationship with them, build up a friendship, and like, and you'll soon find that these people aren't who you thought they were.
No, and I do that. I try to do that daily in my life. I mean, there's, I live a quiet life, a life of a decent amount of solitude. But with that being said, we all need, to a certain degree, just human interaction, and there's different levels of it, this and that. But I love, and I'm not a terribly outgoing person. I'm probably pretty reserved. I mean, I grew up being timid, shy, but I kind of forced myself out of that just because I didn't want to be that way. But I'm still, when it comes to engaging in conversation. I still go about it slowly. I'm not the most extroverted, but and you learn how to find your windows. If somebody drops something, just kind of swoop in, pick it up for them. And then bam, then I use that as the opening to start a little conversation, and you just have to feel it out. Some people, they don't have the time or they don't really want to, and then other times you'll find yourself talking for 20-30 minutes to what people would call a complete stranger. And it really and a conversation like that could really just change a day, in that you could be stuck in your head on whatever it is, just not feeling great about it, and then all of a sudden you could have a 10-15 minute conversation that just takes you out of that whatever thought it was that was just kind of weighing you down, and you couldn't seem to get out from under it. And it doesn't take much, and so I love doing that. And yeah, there's people of all different walks of life who I find myself talking to, and it's great. It just opens you up more and more to just more and more people, and just people in general. And it's so life enriching.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And even like that's why I use the example of like the person that works at the grocery store, but you'll run it, like I'll go to the same gas station and see, the same people that work there. And it's very easy to then over time just build that conversation. Even if you're not a very outgoing person, you can find those people in your life and be able to talk with them. And it's fantastic. It really, really, it broadens your worldview, and it causes you to be more compassionate and understanding.
And at best, if you then find yourself in company who starts, just talking poorly about whoever it may be, whatever group of people, the least that happens is that you don't join in. Conversations like that, whoever it is, they start to talk, and I just don't say anything. I don't respond to it, and some people, say, oh, step up and say something to, and that, I guess that depends on the person's makeup, but whereas I don't, it's like, well, it's not my place. I don't want to be their parent, and I don't want to tell them that they should or shouldn't think anything. But if I just don't say anything in regards to what they just said, it kind of makes the point that, yeah, I don't really agree with you. I don't even need to say that. And they realize it, and they just kind of take a turn. And whether it has an effect on them, I don't know. They might go home feeling the same way they did, or they might. There's a chance where it's like, well, why didn't he agree with me? Why didn't he join in on the conversation? So that's it can help with that, just talking to, and then you find yourself in the future running into somebody else who's talking about whatever type of person it is that you happen to be able to talk to one day on the street or a store. And it's after having a conversation with the person, in the street or the store, later down the line when somebody else is talking, poorly about those whatever type of person it might be, I know for me, it's like, I just, and it's all internal, but it's like, well, I humbly disagree. But like I said, my outlook is, well, you're entitled to think what you want to, but I'm not gonna go along with it just because, for the sake of agreement. I just at that point just keep to myself and wait for the topic to change.
Yeah, I'm the same way as you. I'll people will make comments and say things, and I just and sometimes it's directed right at me, and it's like not directed as in they're throwing insults at me, but it's like meant for me to respond to, and I'll just keep quiet. I'll just keep quiet, and okay, you say what you want to say, and I think they get the idea. It's like, clearly I don't agree with you and the things that you're saying, and I've actually struggled with the same thing that you mentioned. Like, some people would probably be like, no, you need to push back every opportunity that you get.
Yeah, well, see, like what my argument to that is, because what do they call them these days? The social justice warriors. Yeah.
SJWs, social justice warriors. Yeah.
Do they have an acronym? They use the acronym now.
I think I've heard the acronym used. I don't know if the SJWs. I just use the acronym. I don't know if they use the acronym, but people do. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, oh man, that's fun. Anyway, but they would argue, no, you have to take that opportunity and say something. But I don't know, from an outside, if you really take a fly on the wall approach to a situation like that, if you turn around and jump down their throat, you're being just as abrasive and just as you know just as abrasive.
It doesn't
as they
change
are.
minds either. It doesn't change minds.
No, if anything, it's just going to get them angry at you, and you're not doing anything. It's not really helping anything. That's why I disagree with that approach. And it's not to say that it's a wrong approach. I get it, and I commend people who are able to, say something and have it make a change. But I don't know. For me, I find that silence is way more effective in a situation like that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that forced change never actually changes the person. It usually causes them to harden into their own
absolutely
their belief systems and everything. So if you and now I guess there's a way the SJWs of the world, they'll go in screaming, fists flying, and that's not a good approach. I'm sure that there's like a balance to it where you can express how you're feeling very respectful way and get to a better understanding.
Right.
But I, like you, feel that in those situations, I think there are certain situations, certain things that it is appropriate and it is okay to push back and really stand firm in something and really, express how you feel and your opinion. I think that there's certain areas to do that in certain areas of life that you should do that in. I think that when you're having talks in regards to people's preconceived notions or their misconceptions or misunderstandings or stereotypes of religious groups, ethnic groups, or political groups or whatever it may be, I think that I always feel that silence and then finding your in to maybe express how you're feeling at different times. I think that that's a better way to bring about change, because change is a gradual thing. You can't force change, and then by forcing change, you're just going to force a greater pushback against you. So yeah, I definitely think at least I find that the silence method is okay. And then there are some people that that I do get into disagreements with, and I have no problem pushing back against them and expressing how I'm feeling about stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
We have that dynamic. We have that dynamic. Yeah, we have that dynamic, and that's totally fine. But then I know there's some people that I just can't do that with. Like, right. It's just okay. Like you have your thing. I'm just gonna be silent, or maybe I'll try to. I don't know. Sometimes I try to make jokes to diffuse some situations, but like that's just my own, I don't know, my own anxious response to things. I don't know, but I think that staying silent is probably the best approach for most. At least it's the approach that I do, and I'm gonna continue to do. That's for sure. But anyway, okay. So that was the Steph thing. The thing that you pulled out from the conversation with Steph, and yeah, just one last thing. It's really interesting because I'm a true crime fanatic. I listen to probably way too much true crime. It's probably like concerning the amount of true crime that I listen to, like the amount of like murder podcasts. I know that it's a popular genre right now, but I listen to it.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I mean, part of me wonders if I'm missing out, because I mean, I don't really look into it or watch it at all, really. But I have caught wind that a lot of people are into that kind of stuff.
Oh, murder is very popular. Like, I mean, that's just like, I mean, you watched Making It. We were just talking about Making a Murderer before we started recording.
True.
And it's like, people have a fascination. I was just reading online that they're going to be introducing more true crime documentaries and everything to Netflix. It's a very popular genre, and I think it's. I don't know. I have many theories as to why it's so popular, and personally why I enjoy listening to podcasts about serial killers and other crimes and everything. But we won't get into that. It's just fascinating that listening to some podcasts about certain serial killers and talking to the people that were their lawyers or people that interviewed them, they're just like, yeah, like you sit with them and it's just, they're just like evil. Like there's just like, they get the feeling that there's like almost no redemption for these people, which is fascinating because I think that like, I think most people there is like this balance, but I don't, and this is like, I have no idea right now. I'm not saying definitively. I have no idea, but like, I wonder if there are people that are just not redeemable. It may not be their fault. I think there's a combination of a lot of factors. I think that it's nature, nurture, that kind of
Right.
debate. But I think there's a combination. I think that they're
I think
born.
it's both that lead to just in that quote unquote evil.
Yeah, I think that it's just a buildup of a lot of things. So like, I don't know. It's a fascinating discussion. I was thinking about that when we were talking about these people that Steph was interacting with, and how she found a lot of redemptive qualities, and she could see the humanity in these people, and
Yeah.
I think that that's I think that it's I think that that's the case with the vast majority of people. I've never sat down with a serial killer like really prolific serial killers. I don't know if
Yeah,
I
I
would
don't have much
experience true.
experience in that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd experience true evil, but I feel like when you sit down with people, even killers, even people that do really bad things, and you sit with them long enough, you talk about them. I feel like there's an area and I kind of find this way, and I don't know, I don't know if I should admit this on the podcast, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm already halfway through admitting it. When I listen to stuff about serial killers, it's almost like there's moments where like you can relate to them, not necessarily, obviously not their actions, not the things that they do, but certain like personality traits of who they are. It's like, well, I kind of see myself a little bit in that. I can see myself
Oh, well, they're
enjoying.
human.
Yeah, they're human. Exactly. That's the point that I'm trying to make. It's like they're human, they're complex, and like there are
Yeah.
certain attributes and there's certain things that they do and the way that they think and the way that they act that you're like, hey, yeah, I can kind of relate to that. Like I can see that. It's like I think a big one is like the need for control. And I think a lot of people would be like, I like control in my life. A lot of people like to have control of their life because it gives them comfort. Now, the serial killers, they'll take it to the extreme where they'll be obsessed about control. But there's like certain little bits where it's like, okay, that little bit of me, I can see myself in that. And I don't know, this may be terrible. This may be terrible things to say, but I think a lot of people would be able to relate with that, or would hopefully be able to relate with that, because it's once again, I truly believe we're all capable of immense amounts of evil. Every single person. I don't care who you are. I feel like we all have the capability of doing terrible things, but the true test of morality is choosing to do the right thing and choosing not to go down the bad path. That's what I truly believe. And I think that like I think being able to recognize that is important. It's really important to be like, okay, I'm a human being and they're human beings, and you know what? They happen to do this, and once again, there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of abuse that went on in a lot of their stories, and there's a lot that went into why they became who they became. It's not just like, I don't want anybody scared out there thinking like, oh, could I wake up one day and be a serial? No, it's not going to happen.
No, yeah, it's not an in the moment decision.
Yeah. There's a lot, and I'm not someone that's like, I struggle every day. Like I want to murder a ton of people, but I choose not to. It's not like that. It's just this idea that like we are capable of hurting people and doing these really terrible things if we choose to do the right thing, and that's part of humanity. Got a little bit derailed, and I hope that listeners aren't concerned right now. I hope that made sense. But
Yeah, well, we got there, didn't we? We didn't just just skip any whatever. I mean, somehow it got there.
That's true. And it's like, yeah, maybe if you listen to enough true crime stuff like I do, maybe you'd see what I see. You got to start listening to some more true crime stuff, because it is fascinating. We will continue on. So the conversation that I had with Danielle,
Danielle.
yeah. I have many sisters.
Yeah.
I have many sisters. I forgot which
This is
one which
true. This is
which
true.
one did I talk to? Yeah, Danielle. That was a fantastic conversation, and I've been planning, and maybe over the holiday break. It's been a little crazy because I've been finishing up school, and I was going to talk to my brother, and he's been finishing up school as well. But soon enough, I'll have to talk to the next sibling, because I definitely want to continue, because I thought it was a really interesting conversation. It was a really fun conversation as well. But
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. There were so many different, just dynamics to it. I mean, it was nice because, I mean, the fact that it was Danielle, you could just your excitement was,
yeah,
palpable within the discussion. It was, and it just having it be her, it put you at ease, which, which is good, because I mean, I can imagine, I don't know. See, I tend to, I don't know, I feel as if I tend to go into conversations the same with people. I mean, that's how it feels for me. I don't know if it comes off that way, but um, I know you had said that, sometimes going into, certain conversations with whoever it is that you're interviewing in the podcast, you could be nervous or this and that. And, it was nice just to know that you were just relaxed and enjoying it. And just the sibling dynamic in its, it on its own, what just made it real, just, entertaining. And also, I think it adds a whole new angle to the conversation, because the two of you are able to approach things from angles that, you know not any two random people can. It's that sibling bond, where you just you grew up under the same roof, so you're able to. Yeah, it puts the conversation on a whole nother kind of level, a whole nother plane, which was, yeah, really enjoyable to listen to.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like most people listening to that episode could really feel that. Feel like, like you said, my excitement to talk to her, and like it was just an awesome conversation. It was, yeah, we just, it was a blast. It was just, we definitely had a, it was very different from my other conversations. Because even, like, I mean, obviously talking to random people, it tends to be a little bit more rigid, a little bit more professional, and even like it's even different talking to you, because we didn't grow up in the same household. We don't have that same connection. That I do with Danielle, and my other siblings. So yeah, it was an awesome conversation. I had a lot of fun with that. And Danielle, I find it.
What was your favorite, like, part, or what were the highlights for you?
Yeah, yeah. What I was gonna say is that I found, you know, I feel like trying to find something very specific. Um, well, I would say, if I had to choose one thing, like specifically from the conversations I really enjoyed, is like like both of our emphasis on the importance of honesty in like a faith walk, and just being, I feel like honesty in all walks of life, and any interactions that you have with people, it's incredibly important to be honest with your feelings, and where you're at, and the thoughts that you're having with like, obviously, with like um people that you feel very comfortable with, that you can confide in. We talked about that a little bit before we were recording, actually. The importance of being able to have people to have a conversation with. So I feel like the emphasis of it on honesty is really important. But overall, with the conversation, I really adore Danielle, and not just because she's my sister, because I adore her, because way beyond that, like her just as a person, because she's just got,
She has a huge heart.
I don't know, she's just got, oh, huge heart, yeah, and just like Danielle has always been far beyond her years.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, like, she's always been very wise. And you know what? She'd probably be like, "Oh, no, 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 I was never that wise. Da da da. No, I'm still learning." And obviously, those two things can definitely coexist. But like, she's so wise, and she's got this, like, man, it's really hard for me to pinpoint the exact word. Like,
Well, it's that's one of the most interesting things about humans is that it's our our genetic makeup is as individuals you're stamped with it from day one. So and there's certain things about yourself that you kind of can't change. You are who you are,
yeah.
and as you go through life, you kind of find that if you're true to yourself, going back to your honesty and stuff, because in regards to the whole honesty thing, I was going to say, I say that it makes life easier. Just being honest with yourself, with others. I find it easier to navigate through life because life is very complex. There's a lot to it. And there's a lot of twists, turns, and unforeseen stuff, and uh, but in regard, you're going back to Danielle, it's we are you have that genetic fingerprint from day one. You are who you are, and as you go through life, and if you are true to yourself and you just be yourself, you tend to find people's reactions towards you tend to be the same. And you get a good idea of who you are based off of what people will say about you, and to your face even, not, I'm not saying, like behind your back or anything like that, but, like, I don't know if it's often or if it's, but, there are times where people say, huh, like, you're this or you're that. And if you listen to that, and I find at least when people will, make comments to me about how I am or, how I carry myself, they always tend to line up. It's always, similar stuff. I always tend to get just, laid back and uh, just, I guess that might be the
Laid back to
huh.
laid back. I said laid back to a fault. Maybe sometimes people say that about people that are laid back.
Yeah. Oh, and I would agree with that too, completely. I would definitely agree with that. I do. Yeah. Well, I don't want to go down that road, but but with Danielle, it's yeah. I think she has always kind of been that way, and it's really how old is she now? 20.
She's 24, but she'll be 25 on the 30th of December. So coming up, I think she's turning 25 on the
Okay.
30th. Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, like just in the last couple of years, it's being able to kind of, when you do hang out, kind of engage with her as a quote unquote adult. Yeah, just a fantastic person to be around. It's just just what I mean, full of life, just vibrant too. Very I don't want to say intense, but she's just very giving of her attention. When you're involved in a conversation with her, it's she's into it. And she's into you. She's into the, and it's a very giving trait, which is fantastic. It is sometimes rare to come by, and she exudes it, and to a very high extent. And it's yeah, it's always a joy to be around her, and it was a joy to listen to the conversation.
That's why her middle name is Joy.
Is it really?
Yeah, her middle
That's
name's
right.
Joy.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah. She just
Yeah. Oh, it's so fitting. That's so funny.
Yeah, exactly. She encompasses everything that's joyful. Yeah, what I was trying to search for before, and as you were talking, I was kind of thinking about this. I feel like what I really appreciate in Danielle, and something that I feel like I lack, and I think that has become pretty apparent in the podcast, is that I'm at a place in my life that's, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of in this searching period. I'm definitely in this searching period. So I'm kind of in this what do I really believe in? I'm trying to formulate these beliefs, but not really, kind of keep stretching myself thin to kind of grab hold of a bunch of different things and maybe trying to make something out of that, taking a little bit from here, a little bit from there, trying to create this potato head, religious beliefs. And Danielle has a very this beautiful confidence about her, but it's like it's a very comforting confidence. It's kind of like I believe what I believe, but it's not a haughty, it's not an aggressive. It's just like a very, it's a very like I thought about this and I believe this, and I don't know. I find that very attractive, and I find that uh and her beliefs I find very attractive because I think that she comes from a place like you said where she's very giving, has a huge heart. It's her beliefs are based off of her huge heart and her love for other people. So that's
And
always
it's funny
attractive.
you bring that up. It's funny because I was going to say my favorite part of her side of the conversation was when she said, I forget what led to it, but she just said she made the point of how she's now that she's older, she's not afraid to question things in
Huh.
regards to faith.
Yeah, that's true.
And I thought that was my favorite part. I thought that was awesome because it's not, she's not taking she's not just she's not in a good way, she's not just taking what's thrown at her. You know, and I think that's fantastic because that's if a person, if you're trying to build, a solid foundation, and core of beliefs, you're not going to do yourself any favors if you just accept what somebody's saying. If you feel something in you that just, I don't want to say disagrees, but just doesn't understand, well, question it. And I thought that was just her shining moment within the conversation where she said, I'm not afraid to question things at this point. And I believe she said she also found that to be very helpful.
Yeah, questioning your beliefs and then forces you to think about them in many different ways that usually strengthens your beliefs. So I definitely find it's always helpful to question. See, when I heard her talking about questioning things and how she's not afraid to question things, I never once really thought that that was question like monumental questioning of like does God even exist? I think that she has the confidence of what she believes in, but then there's a lot of other things that she's kind of taking the time to figure out or allowing herself the leniency to take the time to figure that out
Right,
with
and I
like
can't. It's a little foggy. I can't remember what aspects of her. It wasn't her faith overall that she was questioning. It was the little aspects within it. Um, but in that sense, it's through that questioning, she's just kind of doing fine touch-up work, if you will, like we would to a painting or something. Just tying up loose ends. I can't. Uh, I don't want to sit too much in silence while I'm thinking, but certain aspects of I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I thought it was great. And then to go back to what you were saying, I think something that would help with you is like, what did you say? You were very lost. Is that what you said like 2 minutes ago?
said I relate to serial killers is what I no I'm just kidding. No yeah, where I feel like I don't know, yeah, maybe lost isn't the right word, but I just feel like and I'm sitting in this place comfortably. Like before I used to stress out about like, oh, I need to figure stuff out, da da da. Right now I'm just sitting in this place of like, okay, this is where I'm at with my beliefs. I'm not sure what I believe. I'm still trying to figure that out, and I'm not gonna put a time frame on it. I'm just gonna let it happen, and I'll slowly get there. So can you truly be lost if you're okay where you're at? I guess not. Like,
Right. Well, I don't believe, I don't think there's any such thing as being lost, really, as they say. And I think that's true. It's all a matter of perspective. Like I've been dealing with somebody recently and I noticed anytime I would have a conversation with them, it was always, you know, and they'd really be worked up over it. Like, I can't do this, I can't do that because I don't have this, and I'm not able to do that, and just running in circles in their head of what they can't do. And my takeaway was, all you've been saying is what you can't do and what you don't have, and all these negative based aspects and angles on the situation. And is it true? Yes, it's undeniable. But my thing is, just hit pause and let me and I inject the question of, what can you do? What do you have? And focus on I don't want to, I hate to use negative and positive, but, and that the ideas of polarity, but just take it from the angle of where you can grab onto something and work with something and have movement and evolve with something. And in regards to you, it's, as opposed to think like, well, I don't know that, I don't know. Well, what do you know? What do you feel? And just hold on to that. Even if it's one little tiny thing, just hold on to, focus on that. And then start to just do like little bits of building at a time on what you do have. And if you focus on that stuff, before you know it, that pile's going to hopefully get a lot bigger. And at some point, maybe even start to dwarf the pile of what it is you don't know or that you're unsure of. And and in building up the pile of what you do know and what you do feel to be true and what does resonate with you, you can slowly chip away at all the uncertainties you have in life. And it's all just a matter of perspective, and it's something that is so hard. I don't know if it's the ego at work where you just get stuck on a certain angle, but and I don't know what it is that helps people or me or able to just kind of just pull back a little bit and just, how can I approach this differently? And that makes all the difference in the world. Because you have to have something. You have to have something. You have to believe in something. So hold on to it and be grateful for it. Even, like I said, even if it's just a shred of something, that's great. Wave it proudly. And just and use that as as your sail or even the wind in it. Whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an analogy, but just focus on it and be happy about it. You know what? I might not know much about whatever, but I do know this, and you should feel good about that. You should feel that should give you hope. It should give you, and even some sort of direction in what way to start, and what way to then move forward, and just obtain more and more over time, to just get more things that you do know. And it's like, no, this really, really resonates with me. I now believe, I kind of believe this to be true as well. And you just build upon what you do know. And in your case, you build your faith, and I think it should be anybody's right to build your own. And, like we had talked about in regards to, like your parents and stuff, it's okay. People are going to have their faith, and yeah, they might try to convince you that theirs is the way, and that's fine. I mean, that's their right, but it's also their right to have their faith. And to me, it's anybody's right to build and morph and shape their faith how they will and how they want, because it's only yours to have. So just do with it what you will. And I think that, yeah, so just take that, like I said, take the angle of as opposed to, oh, I'm just not sure, I don't know, I don't. That's all well and good. You may not, nobody, at the end of the day, nobody knows, dare I say, anything. But if that makes you uncomfortable, those thoughts of, I don't know, I'm just not sure. Well, stop thinking those thoughts and just take a breath and rotate your seat to look on something that you do know, because there's got to be something in there that you feel is true, or feel that really just makes you feel the slightest bit fulfilled when it comes to knowing something, quote unquote. So, and just what do you? Well, I do kind of feel this, and take it. And like I said, if you can't run with it, that's okay. Just but hold on to that, and then just over time, I think since you're sitting in that more of a positive or whatever angle on it, you want to hold on to it, and then you'll be able to build on it in time. And you're better off doing that slow process than opposed to just looking at it from, oh, I just don't know, because that's never going to change if you stay seated at that angle. And that, and I think Danielle kind of, in a way, made that point of like, well, she has her faith, and she feels comfortable in it. And then as she goes through it, certain things may come up in church or whatever it may be, where she said, I think to myself, well, I'm just not sure about this. I don't, great, so she continues to hold on what it is she does know and feel to be true to her. And then she, on the side almost, chips away at the uncertainties, but in a way that she's comfortable with it. She's just slowly exploring her uncertainties. And in time, through conversation and just through living life, I think, she'll come to just better understandings of what at one point in time was just an uncertainty for her. And I think that, it was a great, like I said, she didn't put it that way, but that's how I took it,
I agree with you. I agree with you totally. That like it's definitely a healthier place to be.
It's kind of unloaded.
To say, okay, yeah, that I believe. Like I don't want to mislead people. Like, of course, I have certain beliefs that I hold on to that I feel like these things are pretty true. I can kind of put a stake in the ground and be like, I find this to be pretty true. I have certain things that I believe in. Actually, it's kind of funny. Through therapy, that was something that I was working on, because I've even said that to my therapist. I was kind of like, man, I kind of feel wishy-washy. Like I kind of feel like I got my hands in all these different pies trying to figure stuff out. And he's like, well, let's talk things out. Like, and over time I found like 5 or 6 things that I was like, yeah, those things right now I'm non-apologetic about for believing. Like I find these things to be true. And you know what? I'm going to believe those things, and I'm not going to be apologetic about it. I'm not going to jam it down people's throats, but like, I'm going to believe what I believe in, and I'm not going to allow, it's not like I'm not going to allow myself to be persuaded, but it's like, I feel pretty confident in these things right now. And although like everything is, open for discussion, of course, but I feel pretty confident in certain things. We had a list of things that I felt were really core to things that I believed in. So like there are definitely things that I hold on to, but I definitely think that I have the ability to get into a hopeless state where I feel like, man, I really feel like I don't want to call myself a hollow shell, but like kind of like man, this is like really only so much in regards to like religion where and spirituality, where I kind of feel extremely wishy-washy. But there are certain things that I think that are core to certain religions I believe firmly in, like always showing kindness, compassion, and love for everyone, no matter what. There's certain things that I find really important that I think are essential to the human experience, to having a joyful life experience, and also for the insurance of the progression of the human race. I find there are certain things that are really, really important. So I'm not entirely wishy-washy, but I definitely am at a spot where I am, I guess I'm just, and maybe this is where the problem is right now, and I'm processing this in real time. But maybe this is where the problem is, where I feel like I need to identify my beliefs as being like, it is Christianity. I'm a Christian. I'm a Muslim. I'm Jewish. Like having to put a label on it, where maybe I have to detach myself from that and just slowly build up, kind of like a collage of beliefs, of things that I feel firm about. And if it comes from a grab bag of a bunch of different things, like that's okay too. Um, but I feel like Danielle's confidence in certain core beliefs that she has in regards to her religious beliefs and her spiritual beliefs, I find very attractive. That I guess that she can articulate them so well, and she feels very so strong in them and so confident in them, because I find for myself it took me to go to therapy, a whole session of talking out to really be like, yeah, these are the things that I feel strongly about. But it took time to find those out, and now of course I can state them confidently and everything. But so I guess like she may be just at a different place where she's processed things um at she processed things on a different timeline
Just,
than I
I
did.
was going to say, just
Yeah,
differently.
just differently, exactly. So essentially, I don't want people to necessarily think that I don't have any beliefs that I find to be true, because I do. It's just I feel like maybe I'm malleable. Maybe I feel like I'm more malleable than than um than I would like to be. I feel like I'm very open to being persuaded on different things. Maybe that's more.
See, I think that's a great thing, though. I think that's one of the goals in life, and I think for me, I always personally, I always my outlook is the more open I am, the better. Yeah, the more you're open to just things passing through you.
Yeah, I used to really think that, but then if you are so malleable, then do you believe in anything really? I mean, do you have any really firm beliefs that you wave proudly up, or is everything kind of this like uh, you know, like timidly lifting this up, fearfully almost, potentially lifting this up and being like, I believe in this, but what does anybody else have to say about it? That kind of thing.
I do. I mean, I do have I do have firm beliefs that I feel are true, and I do. I like it. It's what I hold on to tightly, and I believe it, and it's see for me, it's I'm very comfortable with it because I feel it to be true. I don't feel the need to present it to anybody but myself. If the situation arises where I can, and because I'm not gonna ever be one to preach or try to pitch you an idea or an outlook. But if the circumstance arises where I could say, well, I look at it this way, I feel this way, um, then great, and if not, well, I don't care either because it's what I feel, and like I said, and it like I said, it's just, and I feel it to be true. I mean, it's certain thoughts. It's almost like it hits you like lightning, um, and it's just such a clear moment of an idea, that it's just like truth. Truth is such a every human
Yeah,
grasps for truth. Uh, it's a very broad, vague thing, but at the same time, it's a very potent thing. It's a very and it's what we all want. What is the truth to it all? And um, for me, just and the most random time, and sometimes when you're not even really thinking about trying to find truth, or, it just for whatever reasons, it just like I said, it to me, it's like a lightning strike, and then just bam, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, like, and it's so clear, and you never forget it, and you never let go of it, and Yeah, you wait, and you can't force it either. It's nothing. It's nothing that's done out of will. For me, at least, it's my experience. It just happens. Like I said, you hold on to it, but at the same time, so you always have this little, uh, I don't know, just like a little collection of reserves that just it's kind of in your back pocket, and you just
Hmm.
cling to it tightly, but not like an intense way. But you're just very, very comfortable with the idea of it, and it just resonates so much with you that you can't let it go, even
Yeah.
if you try. You can't you can't get rid of it. So it's always just there. It then just becomes a
Yeah.
part of you. While at the same time, though, remain. I think, like I said, I think it's great to just always remain open because if you just close yourself off, you're kind of closing yourself off to those lightning strikes, and you're just limiting yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because yeah, maybe like the idea of being comfortable with certain ideas and certain truth or certain lightning bolt strikes, which I kind of liked. No, I really like the way that you said that because that's how I found a lot of the truth that has hit me. It just kind of comes out of random thing, like just like usually when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to figure stuff out. I'm gonna start reading books and yeah,
No,
no, no, no.
no,
I
no,
know.
no, no.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't.
work
It
that
does
way.
not work like that at all. Although certain books can be helpful. Like we talked about a book right before we started recording. That's been helpful. But most of the time, the lightning bolt strikes of the realizations and truths or things that resonate with my core being, which I really like too. It's like one of those things that you can't. It's almost impossible to describe when it hits you. You're just like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a ton of sense, and it's hit me at the most random times where I'm like, you know what, that feels right for like that. That feels like it's right. It makes sense to me. And it makes me and it gives me I love that comfort. Yeah, it just gives me comfort. Like, yes, that like it's almost
It's a
yeah,
pacifier.
passive yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah,
a
or like a yeah, like a puzzle piece just falling into place where it's like, okay, that feels like it fits right there. I'm not forcing anything. I just feel like that's right. And it's almost like I mean, for sure, there's a physical reaction to it. It's this like instant, um, I tend to be just being like more of a tense, anxious person. I tend to be tense a lot with me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like exactly. It's like muscles just relax, like heart rate almost goes down, and you're just like, yeah, that's something that I was searching for, and it's not like and maybe and
It's funny because like for me, I'm very much probably opposite of you, whereas me, it kind of like charges me
oh,
up.
for me, because I'm charged up so much that it does the opposite effect. But like and it's not even like
That's funny.
it's not like ultimate truth, and maybe that's the big. And everybody's searching for ultimate truth, but maybe their whole
Which you're
it's
never
never
gonna
gonna
find it.
find it exactly.
My personal belief is you get it when you pass. That's when you get it. That's the aha
But
moment.
that's every religion is like, or mostly every religion is like, we have the ultimate truth. We have what's the meaning of this life, and I feel like maybe life.
No, no, that's the part of religion that it just to me is asinine. They tell you that so you show up and you contribute to the collection basket, and they just keep roping you in, and they just keep dangling that carrot in front of your face, and it's wrong. It's wrong. Well, I don't want to say that's kind of strong words, but it's it's one thing to say, hey, if you want to come in and talk about this kind of stuff, we're here to do it. But to stake a claim that you are, be it the preacher, the pastor, the rabbi, the whoever, and the religion itself is the gateway to understanding. To me, it's I don't buy it. I don't, I just don't. It's, it's not. Yeah, I don't like the idea of that at all.
Tell us how you really
At
feel,
all.
Mike, about it. You just got charged up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It's I don't like that idea either because I feel like maybe life, yeah, maybe life isn't supposed to be the pursuit of what the meaning is, but you find little glimpses of the meaning here and there through interactions with other people, through art, through music, through these beautiful, through nature, through these beautiful moments of life. You get those little bits of pieces, and maybe that's all that life is. Maybe not all that life is, but that's a major component of what life is that it's those
No.
moments.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just an aspect of life, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, kind of throughout the whole time of you making that point and talking about the lightning strike moments, the only way you get them is
yeah,
just through living life.
exactly.
And and it's, I've had times where you're just, of just feeling very unfulfilled and just thinking like, well, going to work is the last thing that's gonna make me feel, uh, you know, good. It's the last thing that's gonna turn this around, but I found that the more you, yeah, stop trying to force the turnarounds, and you just, it's like, and I kind of had a little, to a small degree, I had the experience today even of just, in the morning it was just, for whatever reasons, it was just hard to shake this little bit of, I don't know, just inner dissonance, kind of just, whatever, and then, but again, I don't fight it as much as I used to when I was younger. That's one of the good things about, as you get older, you just lose energy, and you don't. But again, but so anyways, to get back to it, it was just like, well, I'll just keep plugging along, and then by the end of the day, I was working with somebody who the conversation happened to go to. He mentioned, playing guitar, and we just started talking about music, and the conversation just got so, we were both so enthusiastic about the topic, and it just like that, everything turned around.
Mm.
So, as opposed to me saying, what, I'm just, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not going to go into work. I'm just going to sit and I'm going to try to work this out on my own. It's like, just keep going along with what you think, is, you should do. It kind of feels like the little bit of the harder thing to do, but you keep doing it. And the more you, for me, like the more you do that, the quicker the turnarounds come. The quicker those moments come that just, flips you upside down, almost instantaneously. And to go back to those, of having the moments of where you have those clear moments of truth, it's, you don't, I don't find that you really get it through actively sitting and meditating. I mean, because really the idea of, of meditation stuff isn't to sit and figure it out. It's to sit and be as open as you can be, and just have stuff pass through you, and you then, you just observe it and see what it is. And I find myself meditating at all different times of the day. Sometimes it's while I'm sitting having coffee in the morning, and sometimes I'm absolutely not meditating while I'm sitting having coffee. I'm very engaged in something. Sometimes it's while I'm driving. Sometimes it's, in the middle of a kind of a mundane process or aspect of work. And so you never know the moments where you're gonna have those aha moments, because you you don't. It's just a matter of, I think, are you open? And if you're open, you're bound to have at some point in time something pass through you that is like, oh yes, yes, and like you said, it's that puzzle piece falling into place.
Mm.
And it is great. It definitely gives a good feeling.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like in regards to meditation, I'm a terrible meditator. I mean, I have a I'm just horrible at it. I mean, it's uncomfortable. It's a discipline, so you have to get used to it. So I recognize that, but sitting and just being kind of quiet and just kind of focusing on the breathing and trying to get yourself into that mindset, I tend to just my mind tends to wander, and not in a way that I'm just watching the thoughts go by, in a way that I am actively engaging with them, which is unfortunate. But I do feel you're right.
Well, if you don't force it though, remember that time in the backyard of your parents' house?
Yeah, where we just sat out there. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful time.
Like, if you it so, there's got to be, you can't, like you said, it should be it can be intentional, but you can't just let it. I feel like it's got to be a gradual process of falling into it. Like back there, it was just like, all right, what, and like you start to notice, like, oh man, the fresh air. You start to notice when the wind blows through the trees and you hear the leaves ruffle, and then you realize, oh man, these birds have been going the whole time, and I wasn't even tuned into it. But now I hear this. It's almost like a cacophony of sound, like a symphony of birds. That, and then it's, well, why didn't I hear that? Oh, because I was thinking about having to wake up tomorrow morning, or and it's so it's yeah. Sometimes it just comes from gradually opening up is the best way to put it. Just letting go of whatever it is you're holding on to, and just opening up to whatever it is that may it is either around you, or if there's not a lot of stimulus around you, if you're inside with not a lot of noise, if you just kind of quiet down, open up, and then it's interesting to see what ideas or whatever it may be, passes through your mind.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that yeah, when you're meditating outside, there's a lot to focus on. And then when you're sitting inside, it can be very quiet, but also like realizations coming from like living life, like you said, these lightning bolt realizations coming from living life. Having a body and a mind is part of life. So this idea of being open, sometimes it's very simple. Sometimes it's just as simple as sitting down and just feeling the way that your body's feeling, almost, like kind of scanning through your body, just kind of being in that place and allowing your mind to kind of focus on the breathing, and then focus on where your mind may wander. So you're right, it's not this like super intentional practice necessarily, but when you leave yourself open, you're still leaving yourself open to a life experience of having a body, having a mind, being alive. Just the feeling of being alive is in and of itself is a remarkable thing to just sit and dwell upon.
It is. I
So
mean, it is life. Life is
yeah,
fascinating. It really is.
um,
It's a gift, and that's why I was saying, and the true
it
aha
is.
moment, like I said, and it's an opinion. It's not fact based at all. It's one of those things that I feel for me is just very true, and I always hold on to it. But the aha moment is when you pass, and you're able to at that point reconnect with it all, and everything, and just I feel like you're just you reach full understanding at that point. But it's not to say though that you should skip out on life just to get to that, because life, you don't know if you have another go around at this, and it's a beautiful gift. It's a fascinating experience that it should be lived out to its fullest. And because I've very recently actually have been kind of starting to catch on to, the whole idea of reincarnation, and just how you have this soul that kind of goes through these cycles, and in reincarnation, and when it comes to living life, that's your opportunity to build and morph and then just enhance, that soul. And so to live life, that's where you're able to, over the course of the lifetime, no matter how long it is. I think, some are destined to be longer than others, and and vice versa. You you know you should build on it as much as you can, because you don't know when the next go round is. You don't know if there is another go round. So just it's almost like just have a respect for the fact that you have this life, and try to live it to the fullest. Try to do as much as you can that you feel is quote unquote good, and that comes through, like you said, that idea of, a lot of that comes through, how you treat others, and the idea of dharma and karma, like what you're putting out there. What type of energy are you putting out into the universe? And this, this life is your opportunity to do the best you can with it. And it can get really hard at times, but at the end of it, it's a real special, unique, experience. It's or trip, or whatever you want to call it. So just, make the best of it, and enjoy it. It's as hard as it may be to do so at times. It ultimately, you have to enjoy it, because it's really a ride.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Faith in Humanity podcast. I hope that you all enjoyed it. I obviously enjoyed recording it. I love my discussions with Mike. All right, be sure to follow us on all social media. You can find us on Twitter at TFIH_podcast. You can find us on YouTube and on Facebook by searching the Faith in Humanity podcast, and you can email us at tfih.podcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. And of course, as always, if you have a minute of your time, to please go on to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts, and rate and review us. It will help others find our podcast. And until next time, stay safe and peace be with you.